I welcome Trevor Hall to noise11.com. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
We're negotiating two different time zones here, so it seems to have worked out. So,
No, thanks for being flexible. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't wake you up too early.
yeah, look, I was trying to work out your Australian connections, and I did find an Australian connection for you, other than the fact you've been down here a few times. But on the Shrek 3 soundtrack,
Yeah.
your song Other Ways follows right after Wolfmother, Joker and the Thief. And Wolfmother
Oh,
are an Australian band.
gosh, I didn't know that because that was so long ago. I was so young. Um I didn't really pay attention to all that. But that was like, gosh, I was maybe let's see, I was maybe like 18 when that happened. So that was, yeah, 15 years ago or so.
Well, 18 when that happened, and there's 18-year-old Trevor Hall on an album with Led Zeppelin and Paul McCartney and Wings and the
Yeah.
Ramones.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, again, I was just a kid, so I was just kind of like trying to be a kid too. So I don't know if I like fully absorbed what that meant, but yeah, it was a blessing to be on there. So many great acts.
Well, being a kid, I mean, that first album, Lace Up Your Shoes, was 2004.
Geez, was it 2004? Oh my Lord. Yeah, when that album comes on, I'm like, turn it off, turn it off. It was so long ago.
You do realize, don't you, that at 20 years in the business, you become a classic rock artist. That album was
Uh,
2004. You're 4 years away from being classic rock.
I'm into it. I love it. I'd love to be classic rock artist.
Let's get into the new album, In and Through the Body. And, I mean, that title in itself is telling me a lot about who you are spiritually.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. That title kind of came from a conversation I was having with uh, uh, kind of like a spiritual teacher in a way. It was on this Zoom call with a bunch of different people, and we were listening to this teacher speak, and she was talking about how the spiritual path is kind of misunderstood to be this thing that we have to kind of, uh, quiet our humanness, quiet our human emotions and ignore those things and ignore our bodies and ignore these things and kind of be in this like woo woo, like woo, up here type of thing. And I certainly have done that, in my journey of kind of suppressing, I guess, my human emotions because I thought that they weren't as worthy perhaps of these like high whatever ideas. Um, but on the call, she kind of debunked that, I guess, in a way, and she when she was doing that, she said, our path is in and through the body, and that line just like really hit me and struck me, and I realized that a lot of I've been fortunate to meet a lot of, I feel like, great people in my life, and the common thread, the thing that touches me the most about all of them is their incredible humanness. And that's what almost makes them so, paradoxically, I guess, spiritual in a way, Um, so it was a good lesson for me. And then taking it a step further with music, I've always kind of written from kind of a very abstract, imaginative, kind of dreamlike place because I've always ignored those human emotions, thinking, oh, those aren't like as like worthy, I guess, as these other whatever things I'm trying to sing about. And then this is I think the first album where I really feel like I got really vulnerable with my own yeah, just emotions and really paid attention to them and flushed them out and honored them and so I think it's one of my like most grounded albums in a way. Just talking of talking in that way, and also I feel like one of my most creative as well. So I'm really, really excited. I'm really excited about it, and looking forward to it getting out there.
So I guess it's pretty accurate to say then that the previous releases that you've had have highlighted your teachings, and now with In and Through the Body, I guess as the title suggests, this is really the start of your next journey.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, you know. I definitely feel like it is a kind of what's the word? Almost not a turning point, but something of that nature where it's I definitely feel like I've kind of walked um further inwards in a way, I guess. Um and kind of grounded out in a lot of ways, and that's really refreshing, you know. So it's definitely a new chapter, a new uh, many new emotions and hopefully growth, you know, musically and sonically. So hopefully people will feel that.
And that title comes from the opening track on the album, Blue Sky
Yeah.
Mind, which is a very
Yeah.
clever title.
Yeah, yeah. That was another kind of uh, borrowed phrase, I guess, from this woman I saw in Hawaii. I had a friend that said, "You really have to see this like healer woman when you're in Hawaii," you know. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, like I'm into it," you know.
I think in listening to this album, as you go through the album, there's a whole lot of Trevor Hall truth bombs that keep getting dropped through the record. I think on the track Without Expectation, everything will be all right. All you have to do is try. A very positive
Right.
message in one line.
Yeah, just I think there's a bunch of that throughout this album, and a lot of that's, you know, speaking to myself, you know. A lot of these songs are speaking to myself and calling, you know, calling me out, and it's really beautiful. They're really beautiful reminders, each song for me. Yeah.
Now, your wife, Emery, who's also creative, appears on two
Yeah.
tracks on this record. One of those tracks,
Yeah.
Her. And there's a line in that song, My eyes opened, your words spoken, old ways broken. Again, that's sort
Mm.
of indicating to where we opened up with that you are sort of indicating your new journey.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the I mean, just to make a song with her was a step in a new journey. You know, that was just the thing that we were messing around one day in the house and had this idea, and it was like this 40-second idea, and we just kind of thought it was fun to do. But the song actually turned into a really kind of yeah, really emotional collaboration between the two of us. And the producer, Brad Cook, when I showed him the idea, he was like, "We have to finish this," you know. And it was just a bonus for me to have her come and sing on that song. You know, to get her in the studio and have that moment as a married couple was really sweet. But again, yeah, another reference to breaking old ways and stepping into something new. Um, or stepping into something even like that was always there, you know, but just perhaps not seeing it all the time. So it's a yeah, another little clue there.
And I think the last musician I can think of who had a photographer wife who we also collaborated with was Paul and Linda McCartney.
Oh, I didn't know that. You're
Yeah.
educating me, man. You're educating me. You're educating me about Shrek the Third, educating me about these couples. This is awesome.
Well,
I'm
there
in
you
the
go. Paul and
zone.
Linda McCartney were also on Shrek the Third. So
Yeah, it's all
two
coming together.
two musicians, photographer couples on the one soundtrack album. There we go.
That's really cool. I had no idea. That's really
Hey,
awesome.
what a great trivia question that would be on trivia night.
That would.
Yeah.
That would. All about
Mind you,
that.
only you and I are the only two who could answer it, but
I'm down with that. We have an advantage.
let me throw another Hallism at you then. On Great Storm Clouds, you sing, I've got darkness, I've got light, I've got ambition in between. But is there a dilemma in the music industry and in what you're doing in the music industry, and that, from what I gather from your story, you've walked away from the trappings of the industry in the early days?
Well, I'd like to think I have, you know. I definitely, yes, I think that in the early days, being so young in the industry, it was very easy for me to, you know, listen to a lot of other people about how I should sing or how I should act or, you got to write a hit song, or you got to, this needs to be more commercial, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and Yeah, it took a long time, a long, long time to shed that, and really step into myself and just be who I am, um, and it's an ongoing process, it's an ongoing process. And I think that I think people, they pick up on the vibration, and people that want something true, I guess. They can hear that, when somebody's being themselves. And then you can also hear when somebody's trying to just use music for other reasons, which is not right or wrong, I guess. I'm not saying that, but this is just this is the vibration I want to represent and I want to put out to the world. But it is an ongoing process. You're always confronted, your whole life, not even within music, you're confronted your whole life with people telling you what to do. So it's a good practice.
Mm. You've been a very vocal follower of Ram Dass, the spiritual teacher and psychologist. Tell me about how you got
Mhm.
involved with him.
Yeah, that was a real blessing. I went to a boarding school for high school to learn classical guitar, and while I was there, I became really good friends with another student there named Sam Marcus, and his brother, older brother, was in India with Ram Dass in the 70s. And that's kind of how it all transpired. I started, reading Ram Dass books and had my whole kind of world opened up. Was like, whoa, this is, really far out, really influential. And then as the years went on, was lucky enough, to meet Ram Dass and collaborate in ways, whether for his retreats or in Maui or with other projects that were going on. So it was a really, great honor for me. Really brought it full circle, to collaborate with such an inspiration. But, just people like that are in service of others, that are really looking out for everybody's good, and want everybody to be the best person they can be. Reading his words over the years was just really inspirational for me, and definitely made its way into my music, more than a few times. So it's sad that he's, left this earth, but it seems that his spirit and teachings are still continuing more than ever. So it's, yeah, special.
Sure, and that video that I've seen with his words and your music on YouTube is particularly potent.
That was just, I mean, again, that was just so magical to be able to do that. Um, East Forest is a friend of ours, and he was lucky enough to go to Maui and record Ram Dass in his own house, just talking, and made this album, of these meditations, I guess you could say, of Ram Dass's words, and asked me to sing on one, and I was so, so pumped. It was a good time.
Yes, George Harrison was also a follower of Ram
Yeah.
Dass, and the Ram Dass book Be Here Now
Yeah.
in 1971 became the title of a George Harrison song in 1973. Then, of course,
Yeah.
Oasis stole that title all those years later and probably have no idea what it means.
Yeah, it's George has always been such a huge inspiration for me. Just because, he was very influenced by Indian culture as well, and, the science and meditation and these types of things. And just to have somebody who had such an incredible amount of fame, and stardom and money and wealth and whatever, for him to continue to be so authentic through all of that, I think, and be so, yeah, inspired by the things that I'm inspired by. It's always been a really, really big inspiration for me. The movie that they did on him, living in the material world, was just, oh, it was just so touching, and it definitely continues to inspire me today. I think about it quite often, but it's cool you brought him up.
The Beatles, the last line. Let me
Yeah.
quote the last line. And in the end, the love you make is equal to the love you take. What do you
Yeah.
make of a song like that? The very last line on the very last song of the very last Beatles album.
Shoot, I haven't thought about it in that reference, but when you put it that way, it's just that much more powerful. I mean, I think yeah, that was just who knows what they were all going through at that time, but for that to be their last line, it's kind of just it's almost like the universal mantra, you know? Yeah, I'm kind of speechless thinking about it in that regard. That's really special. Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about a few songs. Green Mountain State is probably your
Uh,
most, well, it's not probably, it is your most played
yeah.
song on Spotify at 43 million spins. What is it about that
Yeah.
song that draws your fan base to that particular track?
Gosh, I have no idea because when we were making the album, we chose so many other different songs, that Chapter of the Forest album, to be like the singles or whatever. Oh, people are gonna like this the most, or whatever. We were so wrong. I mean, that song, I don't know why people just gravitated to it, and it was the song at shows that people went crazy for, and again, on Spotify and streaming like that, it just surpasses so many of our other songs. And I really don't know what it is. I've been lucky enough to be playing music for so long, and every album you think like, this is gonna be the one, or this is gonna be the single. I don't think I've ever been right one time. So um, I don't understand. I think it's just what people resonate with, and that just happened to be that tune, and I'm grateful to have one like that.
Yeah, we've actually got two like that because we've mentioned the other one, the Lime Tree, which was
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the 2009 self-titled album, but that was originally meant to be on the Elephant's Door album that was never released.
Yeah.
So there's a
Yeah.
song that may never have come out, and it's had 23 million plays now on Spotify.
Yeah, and again, that's one of the most common questions I get from people is, what does the lime tree mean? And I unfortunately have to let them down and be like, I have no idea what that song means. Um, and I kind of have an idea of what it means by now, but so many different people have told me their interpretations that I don't want to insert myself too much or ruin, other people's connections with the song. So, again, did I ever think a song about a lime tree was gonna be, so big? You just never know, you never know.
Yeah, but I guess then number three down the list is also from that 2009 album, Where's the Love? Now, The
Oh,
Lime
okay.
Tree and Where's the Love, neither of those two songs were the two chosen singles off that album.
No, again, this is what I'm talking about. We have just no idea what people are going to resonate with. I think the single off that album, I believe, was Unity, and that was, it's a popular song, but not nearly like people don't, go crazy for it as much as the other two. So that's the beauty. I think that's really the exciting part from an artist standpoint, as you put out a record and you just to see what people gravitate to or how people interpret this and that. It's the cool part. It's the exciting part. And again, with this album, I'm really excited just to see what people go to.
We referenced the Elephant's Door there. That was the album that was never released.
Right.
Why wasn't it ever released, and will it ever be released?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I signed. That's when I signed with Geffen Records, right? When I was a kid, I graduated high school. I signed with Geffen Records. Long story short, I made an album, a full album. Then, right before that album was going to be released, the president of Geffen Records left, and a new president came in. So everything kind of got put on hold. It's kind of you're in the big machine, blah blah blah. And then when that new president heard the record I made, he didn't like it. And he said, I want you to make a new record. We're not going to drop you, but I want you to make a new record. So I said, okay. So I was like, whatever. So we made a whole new record, and that album was the Elephant Store. That was that new album. Everything was prepared for the release. We even shot music videos, the whole thing. And a month before the album came out, or was supposed to come out, they dropped me from the label. Um, which was a huge blessing for me because at that point I had been on the label for like 3 or 4 years and I was so tired of some person up in an office kind of controlling if my music came out or not. So it was a sense of freedom, but I was really sad that this album that I really loved, The Elephant Store, was shelved. They kept it and they didn't release it and the whole thing. Somehow, I have no idea, the album was somehow leaked. And I started seeing all the songs on like YouTube and like this and that. So I don't know how it got out there. The only way that I could have guessed is, before you release an album, you send out so many copies to different, people, radio, news, friends, this and that, and maybe it just made its way out there. So it was kind of a blessing for me, but I don't think that the album will like officially come out today, anymore. I think that that's in the past, and I've kind of want to just move on. And if those songs are out there floating around, that's great. But I'm not looking to kind of go back in there and re-release it. Yeah.
Well, Trevor, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. A great story, a great new album.
Thank you
Uh,
so much. Yeah.
and one of these days when people can travel again, you'll be able to get on a plane and come back to Australia.
I know. I'm hoping we get down there. I mean, it's one of my favorite countries, very powerful place. And to play um, Blues Fest is one of my favorite festivals. So hopefully, everything will kind of calm down. Eventually, we'll be back down there soon.
Trevor Hall, thank you
Thank
for
you
joining us.
so much. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Trevor Hall, thank you for joining
Thank
us
you
here at
so
Noise
much.
11.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Take care.
There you go. See? Very, very
Oh,
painless, isn't it?
oh man, it was awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Look, pleasure.